Good morning everyone. This video is part 2 of chapter 1. The title of chapter is Crop Production and Management. In the previous part 1, I explained these important terms. Let's have a quick revision of these terms. So what is agriculture? The practice of raising plants and rearing animals for food and other useful products is known as agriculture. What is crop? When the same type of plants they are cultivated at one place on a large scale, then it is called a crop. And the plot of the land that is used for cultivation of crop plants it is known as agricultural field. This was just a quick revision of these important terms of this chapter. In the part 1 I have explained these in detail in part 1 video. In the part 1 video we studied these two basic practices. So to ensure a good crop yield, a farmer need to perform various kinds of activities over a period of time, and these activities are known as agricultural practices, and all these practices have been listed here. In the part 1 we discussed preparation of soil and then selection and sowing of seeds. These two practices were explained in detail in part 1 video, so you can refer that video. In this part 2 we will study these practices: irrigation, weeding, crop protection, harvesting and storage in detail. We will study all these basic practices of the crop production in detail one by one. So let's start. What is irrigation? The supply of water to the crops at different intervals is known as irrigation. Okay, and what are the sources of irrigation? The sources of irrigation are wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams and canals. Okay, as I told, the supply of water to crops at different intervals of time is called irrigation. But the time and frequency of the irrigation, it varies from crop to crop. For example, rice, it requires standing water, whereas there are some crops which require less water. And the time and frequency of the irrigation, it also depends on seasons. For example, in summer season, water evaporates from the soil and the leaves in large amount. Okay, so the water requirement in the summer increases as compared to winter. And if we talk about the soil, yes, the irrigation, the time and the frequency of irrigation, it also depends on the type of soil. For example, if the soil has good water holding capacity, then that soil requires less water. But if the soil have low water holding capacity, for example clay soil has low water holding capacity, so it requires more water. So time and frequency of the irrigation, it varies from crop to crop, season to season and soil to soil. Now question comes, why do plants they need water? Okay, it's very important to understand. Seeds, they need water for the germination, and for the proper growth and development of the flowers, fruits and the seeds of plants also water is required. And the roots, they absorb minerals and the fertilizers dissolved in water. So water is very important for the growth and development of the plants. Now let us understand the methods that are used for the irrigation. If we talk about the traditional methods, these four are the traditional methods. Means these methods they used to be used in the previous times, in ancient times. In these methods, cattle or human labor was used. So these are cheaper, okay, but these are less efficient. Let us see all these one by one. Here you can see this is mode system. Mode system means here you can see in this pulley has been used. So in the mode system, a pulley is used to lift the water from the well, and then this water, as you can see here, is distributed to the field. The next is chain pump. In chain pump you can see here there are two wheels, and this chain it is connected to these two wheels. Okay, and when this chain it goes down. Okay, so along with this, when this chain moves, the bucket it also moves down, and when the bucket reaches at the bottom, water gets filled in the bucket and then it moves up along with the chain. When the chain moves over the wheels, along with the chain movement, first the bucket goes down at the bottom, the water gets filled in the bucket, and then the bucket goes up, and when it reaches at the top, the water gets automatically fall into this pit like structure, and from this structure, this pit like structure, water is distributed to the field. The next is dhekli. In this dhekli, you can see here, it is a system in which a log of wood it is used to pull out the water from the well. So these were the traditional methods, and you can see that in these more labor is required. Okay, these are cheaper but they are less efficient. Now let us see some modern methods of irrigation. These methods, they are more economical and efficient. So let us see why it is. Okay, if we talk about drip irrigation. So this is drip irrigation. In this you can see that there are the pipes, and these pipes, they are positioned at the roots of the plant, and the water it drops, and the water it falls on the roots drop by drop. Okay, so in the areas where there is deficiency of water, in those areas this irrigation system is very useful. Okay, there is very less there is no wastage of water, because the pipes, they have been positioned directly at the roots of the plants. Okay, so where there is less water, the regions where there is less water, in those areas it is very beneficial. The second one, it is sprinkler system. Okay, in the sprinkler system, what happens, there is one main pipe, and on that pipe there are some perpendicular tubes on which there are rotating nozzles. Okay, let's say this is one main pipe, and on this there are the perpendicular tubes. Okay, and at the top there are the rotating nozzles. Here it is not more clear, you can Google it, and the images you can see. In the sprinkler system, there is one long pipe, and on which at the regular intervals there are perpendicular tubes, and on the top of these perpendicular tubes there are the rotating nozzles, and when with the help of the pump, the water is made to flow through the main pipe with the pressure, and then water comes out from these perpendicular tubes through the rotating nozzles, and the water it falls on the crops as it is raining. Okay, so this irrigation system, it is good for the regions where the land is uneven. Okay, so in this also, this irrigation system, it is also economical and efficient. If we talk about the next one, this is the furrow irrigation, this third one, this is the furrow irrigation. So in this you can see that the field, it is divided into furrows and ridges. Okay, ridges. Let me show you what are the ridges. These are the ridges where you can see the plants have been grown. These are the ridges. Okay, and what are the furrows? Furrows means you can see these long, deep, long channels. Okay, through which water is made to flow. So the whole field in this irrigation system, in furrow irrigation system, the whole field, it is divided into the furrows and ridges. This irrigation system, it is also very efficient. The last one is basin irrigation system. In this irrigation system, the field is converted into a basin. That means, basin means the big rectangular areas. Okay, so the field, it is divided into the big, or we can say the large rectangular areas, and those rectangular areas, they are filled with water. This type of irrigation system, it is useful for the crops which require standing water. The next is weeding. So now, after understanding irrigation, after the irrigation, the next practice that is used is weeding. You know that some undesirable plants, they grow naturally along with the crop. Okay, and these undesired plants, they are called weeds, and the process of removal of these weeds is called weeding. If we talk about the examples, Chenopodium, you can see here, this is one example of a weed. Okay, and weeding, it is very important because it is necessary, because weeds, they compete with the crop plants for the space, light and nutrients, and which affects the growth of the crop plants. So weeding is necessary. And if we talk about the methods, The methods for the weeding, they are tilling. Tilling means plowing. So the plowing before sowing the seed, it is done to uproot the weeds, or we can say so as to pull out the weeds. The second method is the manual method. Weeds, they can be removed manually also, or with the help of the tools which has been shown here. The last is the chemical method. Chemical method means the weedicides. The weedicides, they are diluted with the water. That means water is added in the weedicides and then it is sprayed on the fields. That means then it is sprayed on the crops in the field with the help of a sprayer. And it should be sprayed before the weeds, they start flowering and seed formation. So after discussing weeding, the next is crop protection. Next is crop protection. It is very important to protect the crops from the stray animals, birds and pests. What are pests? Rodents means rats, birds and insects. Okay, all these birds, insects, rats, they cause damage to the crops and they are known as pests. So how we can protect crop? Number one is fencing of the field can be done. Okay, if we make the fencing of the field, by this method we can protect the crops from the stray animals. The second is the using a scarecrow and beating drum. These two methods, they are very efficient for protecting the crops from the birds. In this picture you can see that these are the scarecrows. The scarecrows, they can be placed in the fields so as to protect the crops from the birds. Next is the spray diluted pesticides to control the pest. Okay, so by spraying the diluted pesticides on the crops in the field, the crop can be protected from the pests also. So this was all about the crop protection. That means so as to get a good yield, it is very important to protect the crop from the stray animals, birds and pests. Next is harvesting. So once the crop, it gets matured, so it is time to cut and gather the crop. Okay, so the process of cutting and gathering of a crop upon its maturation is known as harvesting. A crop, it gets ready for harvesting in about 3 to 4 months. And how we can do the harvesting? It can be done manually with a sickle. Let me show you sickle. Harvesting, it can be done manually with the sickle. This is sickle. Or it can be done with a machine called harvester. Okay, it can be done with the sickle also or with the machine called harvester. So there is one machine, you can see this machine, Combine. The name is Combine, this one. This machine, it does two functions. It performs the functioning of harvesting and threshing. That's why the name Combine. Okay, so a combine is a combined harvester and thresher. Now you might be thinking, what is threshing? So let's try to understand what is threshing. Threshing means, okay, before understanding threshing, let's see here. You can see here, these are the wheat stalks. These are the wheat stalks. And you can see that wheat grains, means the wheat seeds, they are still attached to the stacks. You can see here, the wheat grain seeds, they are still attached to the stacks. Okay, then what is done? These wheat stalks, as you can see in this picture, these wheat stalks, they are beating against a hard surface. Okay, in order to separate the grains from the stalks. So this process of beating the cereal plants in order to separate the grains from the stalk is known as threshing. Next is winnowing. Okay, so what happened, what we did in the threshing? Now in the threshing, the grains, they have been separated from the stalks. But still on the grains there is dry outer covering. Okay, there is dry outer covering on the seeds, which is known as chaff. Okay, this is known as chaff. So the process of separating grains from the chaff by the action of blowing wind is called winnowing. Okay, so in this process, the grains, they are separating from the chaff by the action of blowing wind. If we talk about the grains, they are heavy in weight, and if we talk about the chaff, it is light in weight. Okay, so by the action of blowing wind, or we can say by the help of the blowing wind, these wheat grains, they can be easily separated from the chaff. And you might have seen this process in real life also. This lady is doing the winnowing. Just take your wheat grains in a plate like structure and hold it at your shoulder height. Okay, and and this process should be done when strong wind is blowing. So when you will start tilting when you will start tilting this big plate in which there are wheat grains and chaff, then the wheat grains, they will start falling down, and along with that, because of the strong wind, the chaff particles, because they are light in weight, they will be collected at some distance, and the wheat grains, they will be collected at this place, okay, near the feet of the person. And because the chaff, they are light in weight, so the chaff, they will be collected at some far place from this wheat grains. Okay, so this is winnowing. Winnowing means the process of separating grains from the chaff by the action of the blowing wind. It is called winnowing, and the winnowing, it can be done with the help of machines also. Now the crop has been cut, okay, and has been gathered. Now the next step is storage. Once the grains have been harvested, it's very important to store them in a proper manner so that they can be available throughout the year in every place. It's the storage of the grains, it's very, very important. But while storing the grains, some factors, they should be kept in mind. For example, the storage area, it should be dry and it should be free from the moisture. Why? Because moisture, it promotes the microbial growth. Okay, so the storage area, it should be dry and it should be free from moisture. And the storage area, it should be free from rodents and insects also. Now, if we talk about the methods for storing, these are the methods for storing the grains. Okay, you can see these are the grain silos and these are granaries. This is the cold storage. You can see here, the first one is silos. Silos means these are tall cylindrical storage structures with the openings, and whenever required, grains, they can be taken out from the opening. Okay, the next is the granaries. In the granaries, gunny bags filled with the food grains, they are stacked on the wooden platforms away from the walls. So in the granaries, you can see here lot many gunny bags filled with the grains, they are stacked on the wooden platforms. The last is the cold storage. Okay, perishable foods means which get destroyed easily. Perishable foods such as fruits and vegetables, they are stored in the cold storage houses, because cold storage means low temperature. They are stored in the low temperature. Why? Because it keeps fruits fresh, it slows down the ripening process, and it also halts the growth of the pathogenic fungi also. So this was all about the storage. Now let us see what is green revolution. Green revolution refers to dramatic increase in the agricultural productivity due to use of improved variety of seeds. Due to the process of green revolution, there was tremendous increase in the agricultural productivity. Why? Because of the use of improved variety of seeds, and because of the expansion of farming areas, and because of the mixed farming. It is the process of raising plants and rearing up the animals together. Okay, so because of these factors, due to this green revolution process, there was tremendous increase in the agricultural productivity. Next is crop rotation. Let us see what is crop rotation. Crop rotation, the practice of growing two or more dissimilar crops. Dissimilar means different, on the same plot of land alternately is known as crop rotation. So when we are growing two or more dissimilar, or we can say different crops on the same plot of land alternately, it is known as crop rotation. For example, in one season you are growing wheat, after that rice, and after that you are growing pulses. Because leguminous plants, they contain nitrogen fixing bacteria in their root nodules, which help to overcome the nitrogen deficiency. Okay, so the crop rotation, it is very good. If we will keep on growing the same crop over and over on the same land, then the land will be deprived of a particular type of nutrients, which is not good. So the crop rotation with the crops such as pulses, it is done so as to replenish the nutrients. Okay, or we can say so as to restore the nutrients in the soil. Next is mixed cultivation. Mixed cultivation means the process of growing two or more different types of crop in a particular field at the same period of time is known as mixed cultivation. For example, leguminous plants and cereals, they can be grown close to each other, and the nutrients which are required by one crop, they can be fulfilled by the other one. Okay, so what is mixed cultivation? Means when we are growing two or more different types of crops in a field at same period of time. Okay, for example, when we are growing leguminous plants and cereals very close and cereals when they are grown close to each other. Okay, so this was about the mixed cultivation. Next is food from animals. Food from animals. In this topic, we'll study about the food products, food items that we get from the animals. For example, milk, meat, eggs, honey. These all are the products which we get from the animals and they are used as food items. For example, milk we get from the cow, buffalo, goat, etc. Meat from the goat, pig, etc. And eggs we get from hen, and honey we get from the honeybees. Okay, so from animals also we get various food items. So the practice of breeding and raising the livestock, it is known as animal husbandry, and the animals, they are also very useful for us. They provide us various types of food items. So this was all about this chapter 1, crop production and management. Here chapter 1 is over. Thank you.